and her children.
You know, that's going to leave scars for a long time, if not forever.
It's just something that shouldn't have happened.
The ultimate tragedy is that a woman who was a terrific mother and, by all accounts, a very nice, wonderful person was killed and certainly didn't deserve anything like this.
There was nothing that could stop them from achieving their dreams.
They were ambitious, and they both wanted more.
They played well off of each other.
Until a seemingly random crime tears their world apart.
He smashes out the window, reaches in to grab the purse.
He shot her 4 times.
Detectives will do whatever they can to catch the killer.
It was so brazen. It was the day after Christmas.
No stone is going to be unturned.
But nothing can prepare them for the shocking truth.
Ruthless and heartless. It was horrible.
I was in total disbelief.
Is there a serial killer on the loose? Or is this the ultimate act of betrayal?
You felt so bad for this person, and now it turns out that person's guilty.
You're capable of a lot if you would do this.
December 26, 2007, 9 p.m. It's the day after Christmas in Detroit, Michigan. But there's little joy in this struggling city of shuttered factories and empty homes.
As the auto industry went, so did the city. So things have not been as prosperous as they once were.
Crime is high here. Everybody knows that lives here.
The police department was trying to get a handle on crime. Unfortunately, the city did not have the money.
Over on the city's east side, police get an all-too-familiar call.
The police dispatcher received a 911 call regarding a shooting on East Jefferson.
First responders race to the scene, the parking lot of a local drugstore.
Officer!
Upon arrival, a frantic man flags them down.
My wife, she's been shot!
He was in a very emotional state, you know, sobbing and crying.
What happened to her?
She's been shot. Please help her.
They see a van, and when they run up to the vehicle, they see a female that's crouched over, bloody, and clutching her purse, like someone had tried to rob her.
The passenger window was shattered, and the wife appeared to have been shot multiple times.
As EMTs rush to the woman's aid, the responding officers pull her distraught husband aside.
Did you see who did this?
No, I was still inside. He heard gunshots. He ran out and discovered that his wife was slumped over in the passenger side.
He ran back into the store and talked to the manager in the store, told him to get some help.
I just can't believe it.
The victim's husband, David Cobb, was no stranger to violent crimes. He just had never been on this side of them.
Sergeant David Cobb was a 6-year veteran of the Detroit Police Department.
When it comes down to a police officer's family getting hurt, all police officers, not only in Detroit, but everywhere, take it personal.
Come on, we got you. Ah!
All my love scattered everywhere.
When he looked at me, I just melted.
Dreams so sweet turned into a nightmare.
I didn't suspect that he was a straight-out killer demon. I knew I was in trouble. That's a hell of a price to pay. Just for one damn man.
Rose Bennett was a shy woman, known for her heart of gold.
She was definitely a reserved, kind of quiet person. Not boisterous or loud or the life of the party.
She had that kind of kind personality, and she wanted to help people.
Always an overachiever, Rose propelled her passion for service into a rewarding career.
It was important for her to push herself as far as you can go.
Hey, lady. She got her bachelor's degree in social work, and then she started working for the Detroit Medical Center. She was a social worker there. She worked in the area with the mothers and babies before they left the hospital, and after they would need a lot of things or assistance, and she went that extra mile for them.
When you're leaving the hospital, make sure you got your car seat, because they're not going to release you without your car seats. So make sure you get that before you go into the hospital.
I don't think she could see herself doing anything else because she loved to help people. So she was right where she wanted to be.
While Rose loved building relationships with clients, her personal life was stretched a bit thin.
I don't think she was out searching for nobody. If that happened to happen somewhere down the road, she wasn't against it, but it wasn't her main focus.
Her job was very important to her, and that came first.
It's nice seeing y'all. Thank you. You're welcome.
Though Rose's career was thriving, there were limits to what she could achieve.
The social work program, you needed your master's degree in order to get a certain level, to get a certain pay. So she decided to just go and get her master's degree.
In 1999, while attending classes at Wayne State University, Rose met someone who would finally take her mind off work.
Rose would often run into David Cobb, who was working for the Wayne State Campus Police.
You reconsider that date yet?
I told you, think about it.
She told me about him, asked me what did I think. I said, well, you know, it's up to you. So at first, it didn't become much of anything, but he was a very persistent person.
He was quite struck by her. She was a very beautiful woman, and he continued to woo her.
How about we just start with some coffee?
If you insist, okay.
He seemed like a laid-back guy, you know, would smile and laugh. He was comforting, he was caring, he was funny.
It was clear Rose had met her match in David.
He liked helping people. He actually loved being a police officer.
She was ambitious and he was ambitious. He wanted to move up, up, up as far as he could go.
After just 8 months together, David and Rose could see that they had something special.
He said, Rucker, I think I met the one.
What she liked about him was what he liked about her. He saw her as someone that wanted something out of life, and that would do whatever it took to get there. And so they figured, why not? You know, let's get married, let's work on our careers, and have this life that we both always wanted. And that's what they did.
After the wedding, Rose finished her master's.
We were proud of her doing that. We all were very proud of her.
David was moving up too.
In 2001, he joined the Detroit Police Force.
David was promoted to sergeant within 2 or 3 years after starting with the Detroit Police Department. A lot of the supervisors recognized his ability to lead and to put together budgets and his ability to work well with numbers.
Like Rose, David was willing to work twice as hard to get where he wanted.
He did start law school. It was a stepping stone to move up through the ranks in the Detroit Police Department.
Their careers flourished so well that by 2006, the couple had saved up enough to buy their dream home in the Detroit suburbs.
It was an upper middle class professional type of neighborhood.
It was not too far from the river. Beautiful. Better homes and garden-like house.
Can't believe this is ours. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful.
This is just the beginning, baby.
It was sky's the limit. Do whatever you want to do. It was like this power couple trying to make some moves.
But just as they seemed on the verge of achieving everything they ever wanted, fate had other plans for this dynamic duo.
At a little after 9 p.m. the day after Christmas, Rose was shot outside of a drugstore.
She was clinging to life, and they raced her to the hospital.
After taking a brief statement from David at the scene, detectives allow him to follow.
Officer, take him to the hospital, please.
I don't think most people wouldn't be in a position to really answer accurately given what had just happened.
Besides, what just happened appears obvious to police.
Someone had come up, seen the victim alone in the van, decided to smash the window, take her purse, but then wound up shooting her multiple times.
There have been robberies around that area during that time. A lot of carjackings.
But detectives would soon discover this case is far from typical.
The degree of difficulty in this type of crime is high.
It took 2.5 years to get justice for Rose.
It's hard to process. You say to yourself, is this really happening?
All my love scattered everywhere.
When he looked at me, I just melted.
Dreams so sweet turned into a nightmare.
I didn't suspect that he was a straight-out killer demon. I knew I was in trouble. That's a hell of a price to pay. Just for one damn man.
By the end of 2007, the future was looking brighter than ever for Rose and David Cobb.
They both worked hard to accomplish their goals and wasn't afraid to go after what they wanted.
They had a beautiful new home, 2 thriving careers, and David was working towards his law degree.
But on the evening of December 26th, after a shooting outside an East Detroit drugstore, Rose and David's hopes and dreams hang in the balance.
Rose had been rushed to the hospital where David waited for news of her condition, along with several of his coworkers from the Detroit Police Department.
A number of people from his precinct had got the news, and we all went to the hospital.
While David and his fellow officers stand vigil outside the ER, detectives search the couple's minivan.
They felt it appeared to be a smash and grab type robbery. The window was shattered, and she appeared to be holding onto her purse.
They didn't get the purse. Maybe somebody came by and spooked the shooter and made him run or something like that.
However, while the crime's motive appears obvious, finding out who did it will be a challenge.
There wasn't a whole lot of evidence at this crime scene for the police to go on.
Often stores have video cameras that observe their doors or the parking lot, but in this particular instance, there was no video available.
The only physical evidence detectives have are several .40 caliber shell casings they find on the ground outside the minivan.
You have 4 shell casings, and, you can run those in ballistics.
Speaking with the store manager, detectives are able to confirm David's earlier account.
David was inside the store, and he heard shots on the outside. In fact, everybody heard shots on the outside. He ran out, then he runs inside and tells the manager and everybody, call the police, my wife has been shot.
So you didn't actually see what happened?
No, sir, I didn't.
Luckily, someone else had.
They were able to talk to a witness that actually heard this person demand the lady's purse.
She must have fought him. Next thing I heard was some gunshots.
Can you describe the shooter?
The perpetrator was described as wearing a ski mask.
All the witness could say was that the shooter was tall and slightly built.
That'll be all. Thank you.
With all leads at the scene exhausted, detectives head to the hospital.
We were there for many hours, kind of not saying too much, just kind of feeling out what's going on, if you can help your friend in any way.
Unfortunately, no one could prepare David for the update he was about to receive.
The doctor came and they wanted to speak with the husband, and that's when they gave him the news.
I'm very sorry. There was nothing we could do.
No.
There are no words. You just kind of like, man, is this really happening?
Rose's family has the same reaction.
His mother called and said that something had happened. It had been a robbery. You say to yourself, this can't be for real. And if you do go to sleep, you wake up and you're like, did I dream that? Did this really happen?
After receiving the devastating news, detectives ask David down to the station for a formal statement.
I'm sorry we have to do this now.
It's okay. I understand.
They brought him in, and the interview was a normal interview, asking questions on why were you there? Where were you going? What did you see?
We were going to the movies.
Why did you stop at the drugstore?
I was going to pick up some candy.
Where were you, man?
Sergeant Cobb said he was inside, and he heard some shots. When he came out, he saw that the van had been shot up, at least the window.
Rose!
And then he saw his wife bloody.
Rose! Oh my God!
Needing to explore all possibilities, detectives inquire about the health of David and Rose's marriage.
How was your relationship?
Things were good.
I'm sorry. I had to ask.
It's okay. I know the routine.
They typically look at the spouse of the decedent when someone is murdered. It's almost like a protocol. You want to check them out to take him off the list.
He answered all the questions, thoroughly, and they were satisfied with what he had to say.
With David seemingly ruled out, detectives can focus on finding the man behind the mask.
I just want to get whoever did this.
Don't worry. We'll find him.
Police shootings, everybody tries harder to find who did this because they're like family to us.
They were doing everything that they could and even extra to bring this person to justice.
Detectives can't help but wonder, could David's line of work and his wife's murder be related?
One of the first things you'd think of is, God, I wonder if this is somebody that he busted at some time.
Maybe someone that just got out of prison or something like that that held a grudge against him.
All my love scattered everywhere.
When he looked at me, I just melted.
Dreams so sweet turned into a nightmare.
I didn't suspect that he was a straight-out killer demon. I knew I was in trouble. That's a hell of a price to pay. Just for one damn man.
While Detroit's homicide rate has declined since 2007, the Motor City is still believed to be one of the most dangerous cities in America. With nearly 14,000 violent crimes committed annually, Detroit is considered more dangerous than similar cities of its size, including Baltimore, New Orleans, and Chicago. On the morning of December 27, 2007, the entire city of Detroit woke to the news that 47-year-old Rose Cobb had been gunned down in a drugstore parking lot on the east side of town.
On the crime beat, you'll get notices about murders, homicides, different high-profile crimes, and we had gotten a notice that there was a murder. There's 300 and something murders in a typical year in Detroit, and you can't cover them all. You'd just be literally writing a new murder story every day.
However, Rose was no ordinary victim.
Obviously, it made the news when it was discovered that Rosie was the wife of a Detroit police sergeant.
I basically got on camera to let them know that we're asking the public if anybody was there that night, that saw anything that could help shed some light on who did this to her.
While evidence at the scene suggests the murder was the result of a botched robbery, detectives entertain another possibility.
As a police officer, you always have concerns for your family. You wonder if possibly some arrest you made or something that you did in the street caused someone to have ill will against you and to retaliate against a family member.
He worked at the Eastern District, which was the most violent in the city. They deal with a lot of powerful dope crews. Some of these drug dealers in Detroit are just unbelievably violent. So let's say it is a cop who arrested one of their crew or put a crimp in their money-making opportunity. A lot of these drug dealers in Detroit would have no qualms about killing his wife or her husband or children.
They checked to see, but they didn't find anything like that out.
With David's line of duty apparently a dead end, detectives turn their attention to Rose.
The police talked with the victim's family to determine if possibly there was something in her background that would have caused someone to highlight her for this type of crime.
The family's answer is a resounding no.
One thing I can say, Monty, she was loving, she was caring. Anything you asked, if she had it, it was yours. And she was an honest person.
Rose's family tells detectives She expected the same from her husband, too.
There's a level of trust you have to have in a relationship, and David, he betrayed that trust.
What do you mean?
He was always working late nights and really guarded with his phone.
She actually confided in her sister. Things were starting to fall apart. She thought he was having an affair.
It just seems possibly there's more going on than meets the eye.
According to Rose's family, her suspicion grew until, shortly before her death, she made a momentous decision.
She was going to leave him. She was tired and she was fed up and she had enough.
It was nothing like the picture of his marriage that David had painted for detectives.
The downfall of their marriage, that kind of gave it a different eye on things.
The next morning, detectives called David in for another round of questioning.
You told us things were good between you and Rose.
Yeah?
So why are people telling us the opposite? That she was thinking about divorce?
Her family, right? Man, they be blowing things out of proportion.
Mr. Cobb comes in again for another talk with investigators, and in that interview, he states that even though they had a rough patch, everything was fine and they were getting along well together.
She was upset, but there was no truth to it.
And you never cheated on her?
God, no.
Detectives want to believe their fellow officer, but must exhaust all options. They subpoena David's phone records, hoping to shed some light on the cheating allegations.
They continued digging to see if possibly there was some involvement with another person, possibly a girlfriend, that could have led to the attack on his wife.
And what they find next will truly raise a red flag.
There is one phone number that appears on Mr. Cobb's records often.
He was calling this number at all hours of the night.
Maybe Rose did have reason to worry. Maybe David was having an affair.
Detectives are investigating the brutal murder of Rose Cobb, the wife of fellow police officer Sergeant David Cobb. But according to Rose's family, the couple's relationship was far from perfect.
According to Rose's family, her marriage had fallen apart because she suspected he was having an affair.
As detectives look into the infidelity angle, they uncover a pattern of suspicious behavior.
Detectives find a number on Mr. Cobb's phone records that it appears he had been calling numerous times, and that number is traced back to a lady named Shirley.
Detectives waste no time tracking down 37-year-old Shirley Black and bring her in for questioning.
Shirley possibly has the motive to eliminate the wife.
If he was cheating, but then decided to try and make it work with his wife, Shirley could easily be a scorned lover.
That's what you have to find out. What ideas does she have as far as continue the relationship?
But when pressed by detectives, Shirley flatly denies having a romantic relationship with David.
In the interview, she admits to knowing David, but she explains that they are old friends, that there's nothing more to it.
Are you sure? It seems like you guys were talking on the phone quite often.
What are you trying to say?
We're just trying to figure out who killed his wife.
Well, I didn't have anything to do with it. And neither did David.
For the moment, detectives have no way of proving otherwise.
Police do not have anything that confirms an affair between David and Shirley.
And they certainly didn't have anything that directly tied David or Shirley to Rose's murder.
Still, detectives aren't ready to give up on their hunch.
They didn't just take Shirley at her word. They decided to dig into her background and see if she had any history of violent crimes.
What they find raises eyebrows.
She has a son that has been arrested before.
At just 20 years old, Shirley's son, Marzell Black, already has a lengthy rap sheet.
That right there throws a big flag.
The wheels are starting to turn in the detectives' minds, and they are wondering if Shirley's son possibly shot Rose.
Shirley could have hired Marzell to take care of it for her, or David could have asked him to do it.
Later that day, detectives bring in Marzell Black for questioning.
We're investigating the murder of a woman named Rose Cobb.
What's that got to do with me?
Your mom knows her husband.
So?
He denies knowing David or Rose, and he further states that he would not know who his mom's friends are or who she might be involved with.
I sure don't know anything about any murder either.
Detectives believe Marzell knows more than he's letting on. But one thing is certain. He isn't their shooter.
Marzell, he's not a physical match for the description that the witnesses gave.
Free to go.
Detectives have no choice but to release Marzell. Though they aren't crossing him off their suspect list just yet.
Detectives had to look into the possibility that Marzell might have been the middleman.
This guy's on the street. He knows people that are violent. He's in the dope game. So he was a perfect candidate if you're going to ask somebody, hey, do you know someone who killed my wife?
Detectives spend the next several days hitting the streets, questioning Marzell's known associates. However, those roads seem to lead to a dead end.
There are times as a detective when you have a strong hunch on something that you are trying to solve, but you just cannot quite find the evidence you need to put it together, and it can be extremely frustrating.
The frustration continues to mount when detectives reach out to David.
At this point, David has retained an attorney, and upon advice of counsel, David said he does not want to make any further statements to the police.
With David refusing to talk and no evidence against Marzell, the case grows cold.
A couple months passed, and then the story kind of laid low for a while. You didn't hear much about it.
Then, on the morning of April 20th, almost 4 months after Rose Cobb's murder, police are called to the Detroit suburb of Shelby Township for a seemingly unrelated case.
They were looking to arrest a man named Vincent Smothers, who was wanted for the murder of a Detroit drug dealer.
Officers don't want to take any chances, so they bring plenty of backup, and they surround the home where Vincent is staying.
The SWAT team came out, and he was arrested without incident.
Though just as the SWAT team making the arrest thinks their job is done, new information will lead to another shocking twist.
Please don't hurt him! As the officers escorted Smothers' wife, she said something that took them completely by surprise.
This is about that cop's wife!
April 20th, 2008. While police in Detroit placed 27-year-old Vincent Smothers under arrest for the murder of a local drug dealer, his wife let something slip that may hold the key to solving another crime.
While the police were putting cuffs on her husband, she asked if his arrest had anything to do with that cop's wife.
This is about that cop's wife!
This is a pretty jaw-dropping statement, and police are taken aback.
It had been 4 months since the murder of Rose Cobb, the wife of Sergeant David Cobb, and that crime still hadn't been solved.
Detectives working Rose's case are immediately called to the station.
I need you to explain to me what you meant back there.
About the cop's wife?
When police bring Vincent Smothers' wife in, she states that Vincent had confided in her that he had actually killed the cop's wife.
With the wife short on details, detectives move on to Vincent. To their surprise, he's more than happy to talk.
According to him, he says he was kind of relieved once he got arrested.
I'm going to talk to you about everything. He said he could not sleep because he kept visualizing Rosie hollering, "Oh my God, Jesus, Jesus."
What happened at the drugstore? I was hired to kill the woman that would be in the minivan. Were you intending to kill her? Yes.
He not only admits that he killed Rose, but he further admits that he kills people for money.
Okay. And why were you intending to kill her? Because that's what you specified? Okay. So you're doing a contract murder, right? For money? Yeah.
Detectives are kind of surprised that he's as open as he is.
He's talking about killing these people as calmly as you talk about what you had for dinner yesterday.
Detectives are convinced he's telling them the truth, too.
Smothers gives details about each murder. He knows the caliber of gun that was used, many intricate details that only the killer would know.
He was just giving detail after detail. He just opened up and, I think they said, wow, we hit the jackpot here.
Vincent explains to detectives that the whole thing started when a drug dealer approached him about a job.
Her arrangements were made with Marvell Black. He tell me, I know this guy who said he wanted his wife killed. Can you set it all up? It'll be easy. Okay, then what else? He said the guy wanted to meet so he can go over the plan. So you have commandments. Right.
Detectives finally get the break they need when Vincent stated that he met with the guy that had offered Vincent a portion of his wife's insurance money if he would kill her.
Who hired you to kill her? David Cobb.
They thought all along that there was something going on between David Cobb and Marcel's mother, Shirley. This seemed to put it all together for them.
Okay, did David Cobb ever discuss money with you for the murder of his wife? Yes. Yes. So I would be getting paid $5,000 by David Cobb through Marcel, so Marcel was getting paid. Separate from the $5,000 I was getting paid. So, $10,000, $5,000 from Marcel, right, and $5,000 cash, what do you? Right, and that would be paid after. And you never said.
She had a $200,000 life insurance policy, and he was going to give him 10 grand.
She cheat on you or something? You ain't got to worry about that, bruh. You want the 10 grand or not?
Vincent was hesitant to take on that task because he only killed people that he felt deserved it.
Up until he had shot Rose, he killed people that were drug dealers, people in the game, as we would say.
Vincent decided to do it because it was an easy job and the money was good.
Vincent says on the night of the murder, he was waiting in the drugstore when the cops pulled into the parking lot.
Smothers said David had planned to enter the store, and that would have been a hint for Vincent to go ahead and carry out the mission.
Cobb walks past, kind of gives a nod. Okay, thumbs up, this thing's a go. Vincent said he grabbed a tire iron out of his car, and he's got his gun.
He approached the van. He broke the passenger window with the tire iron.
Give me the purse! Give me the purse now!
He wanted to grab the purse, make it look like a robbery.
Give me the purse!
Things didn't quite go as planned, though.
Rose screamed. She grabbed her purse and leaned in the opposite direction.
She was nervous. It was like she was almost turned around and feet away from me. She was screaming. She was afraid. Just screaming.
So he figured, I better just do this now.
Oh my God!
And he opened fire.
From any further delay, I shot her.
She wouldn't give that purse up, so he left without taking anything.
Despite the plan going awry, Vincent got away clean. But his conscience was another matter.
Vincent told police he immediately regretted what he had done.
My stomach was in knots after what happened.
It bothered him that he had killed somebody that wasn't a drug dealer, that didn't harm people, that was predominantly a good, decent person. And in his heart, she didn't deserve what he did to her.
Detectives find Vincent's story credible and arrest him on the spot.
Based on Vincent Smothers' confession, police get an arrest warrant to bring David Cobb in. David opens the door, surrenders peacefully, and allows himself to be arrested.
For the couple's family and friends, David's arrest isn't just shocking, it's devastating.
It's like, oh my God, he actually did this.
I was in total disbelief. Because of my love for my buddy, I couldn't even fathom him being a suspect.
Once in custody, David invokes his right to remain silent.
He was a law student at the time and had been a police officer for a number of years. He knew it's probably best not to make a statement, and certainly not to make a statement without counsel present.
Marzell Black, the alleged middleman for the murder, also refuses to talk.
Police charge him for solicitation of murder.
As far as Marzell's mom, Shirley, there was not enough concrete evidence to show she was involved, so she was not arrested.
However, just when it looks as though Rose's killers have finally been brought to justice, prosecutors have to do the unthinkable.
The only thing they had against David was the word of a man who just confessed to multiple murders.
They didn't have any witnesses, and they didn't have any weapon.
Less than 48 hours after his arrest, prosecutors have no choice but to release David Cobb.
They didn't think they had a strong enough case against him.
They didn't have enough to charge Marzell either, so he was released too.
That didn't set well with a lot of the cops.
I was like, how could he get away with it?
That's what's up.
The fact that David Cobb was a police officer and would hire someone to carry out a hit really intrigued me. Nothing made me madder than a police officer that would commit a crime. To me personally, I went all these years without doing anything criminal, and I always felt like if you want to be a criminal, go out and be a criminal, but don't tarnish what I'm doing or put a stain on my badge because you want to do something else.
Less than 48 hours after his arrest, David Cobb walks out of the Wayne County Jail a free man.
Prosecutors didn't feel like there was enough evidence to convict him of murder.
They had to let him go. And I get it. They didn't have enough. And it's technicalities like that, that if they had kept him locked up and pursued it, that would have gotten him off.
David's release doesn't mean police and prosecutors think he's innocent, though.
They really believed he did it. There was an active investigation against him, even though he was released.
As Detroit police work overtime in hopes of making an airtight case against David, the department suspends the 6-year veteran without pay.
Innocent until proven guilty and all that, but a cop who's being actively investigated for killing his wife, you don't want him wearing the badge.
David lays low for the next several months, while detectives dig deeper into the case, hoping to convince prosecutors to press charges.
Detectives did confirm that after Rose's death, David had filed a claim for her life insurance.
However, a pending life insurance claim is not enough to convict him of murder.
That's what you do when someone dies. Yeah, it might look bad, but people collect life insurance all the time.
With no hard evidence to speak of, detectives decide to pull one last card.
They brought Marzell back in and tried to press him to talk.
I told you, I'm not talking without a lawyer.
Sure, we just wanted to talk to you before we talk to your mom.
My mom?
Detectives suspected Marzell's mom was having an affair with David.
She doesn't know about the plot to kill Rose?
David came to me. She didn't have anything to do with it.
Black flipped on David Cobb and cooperated.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Sergeant Cobb knew Marzell, knew what he was into.
Got that number you asked for.
And he felt that he could help him out because of his criminal record. He knew that Marzell had people behind him that were kind of treacherous. And I believe that's why he asked him.
That's what's up.
Stand up.
Marzell's confession is the breakthrough detectives need.
My sources told me that they were about to re-arrest David Cobb and charge him with the murder this time.
I was wondering if he was going to run and leave because he knew they was on him.
However, nothing could prepare Rose's family or detectives for what happened next. On September 26, 2008, 9 months after the murder, 2 men out for a bike ride in a suburban Detroit park make a shocking discovery.
Oh my God. Call 911.
Officers arrive on the scene, and almost immediately, one of the officers recognizes the body as David Cobb.
They performed CPR, the medics came, they rushed him to the hospital, and he ultimately died in the hospital.
Given the pending charges, police are quick to close the case on David Cobb's death.
Officers process the scene, and they pretty much feel it's a suicide that has taken place.
2 days later, a member of David's family receives what appears to be his suicide notes.
One addressed to the family and one addressed to Rose. And in those letters, David just expresses his love for Rose. He doesn't confess to anything. He doesn't talk about having regrets or anything.
Even to the end, he professed that he didn't do it.
For David's family, it's a tragic end that leaves more questions than answers.
They believe that he killed himself because he was hounded by police regarding this crime.
He really wouldn't admit that he was responsible, even knowing everything that had came out.
But to police and Rose's family, his suicide is as good as an admission of guilt.
He knew it was a matter of time before he would be caught and implicated.
I think he should have had his day in court. There was no satisfaction in him being hung.
We got robbed of seeing him being tried and prosecuted. I would have liked to see him rot in jail for the rest of his life.
However, Vincent Smothers will most likely spend the rest of his life in prison after pleading guilty to the murder of Rose Cobb and 7 others.
Vincent was sentenced to 50 to 100 years in prison. At his sentencing, he said, there's no atonement for what I've done. I've taken people away from their families and loved ones.
The way I see it, he felt more remorse and compassion than her own husband did. And I hate him for killing her, but I thank him for coming forward.
If he hadn't spoke up, we may have never really found out what really actually happened to her.
Marzelle Black, whose cooperation was ultimately rendered moot by David's suicide, receives a lesser sentence.
Marzelle got 15 to 40 years in prison for solicitation of murder.
While the surviving members of the conspiracy will be in prison for a long time, Rose's loved ones still struggle to understand the motive behind this senseless crime.
Vince's mother didn't know my aunt from Adam until David set this in motion. He conspired, he plotted, he planned, he put it together, and he used people to do his dirty work.
What did he actually get out of having my sister murdered? Nothing.
Question.
Instead, all the disgraced police sergeant did was rob the world of a good woman who worked hard to help those in need.
She was loved, she was hardworking, she was kind, and she should still be here with us.
She was everything that anybody would want to be. He took a good, loving person from us, and there's not a day that goes by that we don't miss her.
This hard-working single mom thought she'd found true love.
They connected so quickly. He took care of her kids. It was going to be an amazing future.
Instead, it ended in a horrific crime.
Hello, I need to talk now.
She was on the floor, bound by the hands and legs.
She had a plastic bag around her head.
They think the person's dead.
But how did it happen?
She went out to a club.
You could be in danger just because you were out having fun. She was a beautiful girl. She got a lot of attention.
Did someone follow her home?
Or was the trouble already there?
There are some guys who are very possessive.
This was something that he kept a secret.
You don't know what insecurities are lying beneath the surface.
That could have taken him over the edge.
In the living room, the atmosphere strained but civil. What's this I hear about you trying to buy Mima Wilson's place in Bresse? Jimmy asked, cutting straight to the chase. Duncan took a sip of his beer, unbothered. Word travels fast. It's true. I want to build holiday lets. The view up there is spectacular. Tourists would pay a premium. Chris Dinkins said you're turning into Shetland's answer to Donald Trump. Jimmy observed wryly. Oddly, I take that as a compliment. Duncan smirked. Anyway, no joy. Joseph wanted the deal to go through, but unfortunately, it's not his land. Mima held the deed tight. It is his land now, Jimmy pointed out, watching Duncan's reaction closely. Duncan held his hands up. Ho, Jimmy, I might be a capitalist, but I'm not a murderer. I had no idea what happened until I heard it from Craig this morning. I could do without the uphill battle here. People will think Ronald Holdan got drunk and shot Mima by accident, or that I paid someone to do it. Well, thinking's fine, Jimmy said softly, leaning forward. But I have to be sure. I know your problem. Duncan sighed, leaning back. You think it's perfect here. You want this island protected at all costs. You want it frozen in amber. But things change. Jimmy, a wee bit more sunshine, and you'd turn it into Benidorm if the money was right. I wish, Jimmy muttered. Nah, you know, I just think most people here don't want to lager their souls for a quick buck. Before the argument could escalate, Cassie walked into the room, wearing her pajamas. Night, Dad. Night, Duncan. Cassie, Duncan said, his face softening instantly into genuine affection. Come and say good night to your father. Cassie walked over and hugged Duncan. See you the weekend. Okay. Duncan smiled. After she left the room, Duncan stared at the doorway for a long time. She's another thing that'll change. She'll get bored of Shetland soon. She'll go back to the mainland for university. You'll see. Jimmy felt a tight knot in his chest. After Fran and me split up and you guys got together, I thought I'd never see Cass again. So I can't thank you enough for letting her stay with me after her mom passed. Duncan looked at Jimmy, his arrogant facade dropping for a rare moment. It wasn't completely selfless. Jimmy, you want to be here more than she does right now. You give her stability. You're her dad. I'm just her father. Jimmy nodded slowly, the shared grief over Fran momentarily bridging the massive gap between the two men. Looks like hard work. It is, Duncan agreed, finishing his beer. Keep her safe, Jimmy. Chapter 9, Flight. The next morning broke cold and clear, a rare reprieve from the relentless rain. Jimmy arrived at the station early, a takeaway coffee in hand. Tosh was already at her desk, looking stressed. Sir, we have a problem, she announced as soon as Jimmy took his coat off. I went back to the dig this morning to speak to Professor Berglund. And he's gone, packed his bags, and bolted. I spoke to the owner of the B&B where he was staying. He left at the crack of dawn. Jimmy's blood ran cold. Flight equaled guilt in his book. Did you get a description? Scandinavian looking. Mid-40s. Wearing a Gore-Tex waterproof. Tosh deadpanned. Thanks, B&B owner. That really narrows it down on a ferry full of fishermen and tourists. Berglund was on the ferry that just left for Aberdeen. Craig chimed in from his desk, holding a printed passenger manifest. Damn it, Jimmy swore. Craig, get McCabe to radio Aberdeen police. Have them intercept him at the terminal. I want him brought back here immediately. On it, Craig said, dialing his phone. Okay. Jimmy paced the room, his mind racing. We're going to have to go through the CCTV at the Lerwick Ferry Terminal for the night of the murder. I need to know if Joseph Wilson or Ronald Holdan were actually sleeping in their cars like they claimed, or if they took a private boat across the Sound. He turned to a whiteboard, grabbing a marker. Let's look at the list of people with a license to hold a shotgun on Brescia and Lerwick. He started writing rapidly. The Haldanes are on it. Andrew and Ronald. Joseph Wilson. Sandy. Sandy? Tosh asked, surprised. Farm boy, everyone shoots rabbits here, Jimmy explained. Half the islands have a gun, and the other half are phoning me wanting to know what happened to Mima. His desk phone rang. He snatched it up. Paris. Jimmy, it's Vicky at the museum. The voice on the other end said, Vicky, please tell me you have good news. I'm still trying to get an exact carbon date on that skull fragment from the dig, she said, her voice crackling with excitement. But the coins they found in the trench with it return dates between 1465 and 1510. The skull will probably be the same era, 15th century. Right, that's historically interesting, Vicky, but it doesn't give me a motive for a modern murder. Maybe not, Vicky said hesitantly, but there's something else. I was looking through the archives about the Shetland bus. Like you asked, there's a photograph of Mima Wilson when she was young, with a Norwegian sailor. I'll be right there, Jimmy said, hanging up. He turned to Tosh. You're with me. We're going to the museum. As they were walking out, Sandy came rushing in, looking desperate. Inspector, I thought you were with my dad. He wants to know when my granny's body can be released for the funeral. Jimmy sighed, feeling a pang of sympathy. Well, tell him he's going to have to wait for the pathologist's report from Inverness. They need to extract the pellets and confirm the angle of the shot. I did, Sandy pleaded, but he's taking it really bad. I think having the funeral might help him find some closure. My hands are tied, Sandy, Jimmy said firmly. It's a murder investigation. The body is evidence until the Crown says otherwise. Sandy looked devastated. I want to do something. Jackie's been over, bringing food. But I don't think looking after old Andrew is easy for her. And she's hovering around my dad. It's too much. Jimmy paused, sensing the undercurrents. Sandy, there are two families here. The Wilsons and the Haldanes. Related, living on top of one another for generations. One of them wealthy, one of them not. Now, I can't believe that hasn't created any tension despite what you said yesterday. Sandy looked away, his jaw tight. She's my grandmother. What? Do you think I don't want to know who killed her? I'm not protecting anyone. I'm not accusing you of that. Sandy, just keep your eyes open and stay with your dad. Jimmy walked out, leaving Sandy standing in the middle of the bullpen, looking utterly lost. Chapter 10, Ghosts in the Archive. The Shetland Museum and Archives sat on the waterfront, a beautiful modern building that housed the rugged, bloody history of the islands. Vicky, the head archivist, was waiting for them in a small back room surrounded by boxes of yellowing documents and black and white photographs. You aren't interested in the Shetland bus, Vicky teased Jimmy as he walked in. That's ironic. You weren't when you were at school. I was your teacher. Remember? Jimmy smiled faintly. I was a terrible student. Vicky, what have you got for me? Vicky laid a fragile, silver gelatin photograph on the table under a magnifying lamp. It showed a group of young people laughing outside a stone building. Is that a young Mima Wilson? Jimmy leaned in. It is indeed. She was beautiful. And that's her husband, Jerry Wilson. And next to him is Andrew Holdan of the generation. So, Mima's husband and Jackie's father worked together. Alongside Norwegian sailors, Vicky explained, pointing to a tall, strikingly handsome blonde man in the photo standing very close to Mima. Between 1940 and 45, they took spies, supplies, and large sums of money across to Norway. Sometimes they'd bring back refugees. To take the Shetland bus became a synonym for escaping the Nazis. Dangerous work, Tosh murmured, looking at the faces. So young, yet their eyes looked old. Incredibly, Vicky nodded. Anyway, not all our lads survived. Some were betrayed by a double agent. Jerry Wilson and Andrew Holdan were lucky to make it back from a botched run in 43. A double agent? Jimmy asked, his detective radar pinging. Yes, people say the Shetlanders discovered who the double agent was. A Norwegian hiding among them. and they meted out their own brutal form of justice. They killed him, Tosh asked. It's just a rumor. A ghost story, Vicky shrugged. But there's no official record of this man. She tapped the blonde man in the photo ever leaving the islands. His name was Perlunsted. Jimmy stared at the photograph. Mima Wilson was looking up at Perlunsted with an expression that was undeniably intimate. Not the look of a friend, the look of a lover. Tosh, will you wait here a minute? Jimmy said softly. Yes, sir. Tosh stepped back, sensing he needed a moment to process. Jimmy looked at Vicky. Tell her anything. Nothing seemed to shock her. Mima was a tough old bird. But if she found out that the skull dug up on her land belonged to an old lover or a murdered spy, then she'd have a reason to want the dig shut down immediately. Vicky finished the thought before they could identify the bones. Jimmy's phone buzzed aggressively in his pocket. It was Craig at the station. Boss, Craig's voice was tense. We've got a situation. A bad one. What is it? It's Ronald Holdan. He was found by the road near the Bresse Ferry Terminal, unconscious. He's been beaten half to death. Chapter 11, Retribution. The hospital rooms smelled of bleach and sterile gauze. Ronald Holdan lay in the bed, looking like a ruined mountain. His left eye was swollen shut, his lips split, and his arm in a cast. Jimmy stood at the foot of the bed, his face grim. Nothing on CCTV. The attack happened in a blind spot near the industrial bins. Okay. Well, you must have some idea who did this to you. Ronald. Ronald groaned, shifting painfully. It was dark, and I was, well, I'd had a few. They didn't rob you then? Jimmy asked, noting that Ronald's expensive watch was sitting on the bedside table. I don't think so. No. No. Nothing taken, Jimmy said, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. How can you be so sure it was a random attack? Why would someone beat a man of your size into a coma unless it was personal? Because people blame me. Ronald suddenly shouted, wincing as the effort tore at his ribs. The door flew open and Jackie Holdan rushed in, her face pale with fury. "Get out!" she screamed at Jimmy. "Look at my boy. I told you not to come here and badger him." "Mom, I'm fine," Ronald mumbled. "Who did this?" Jackie demanded, turning on Jimmy. "My boy wouldn't hurt anyone, let alone his own family. Make sure people understand that. Please, everyone on the island is whispering that he shot Mima for the land. Come on, Jackie, calm down," Jimmy said, holding his hands up. "You should be asking yourself who really inherits the land." Jackie spat venomously. "Meaning? Well, it's not us, is it?" She sneered. "It's Joseph, and that useless boy of his, Sandy." Jimmy left the hospital feeling like he was wading through treacle. Every answer bred 3 new questions. Was Ronald attacked by a vigilante who thought he killed Mima? Or was he attacked by the real killer to keep him quiet? He got back into his car and drove toward the station. He needed to talk to Professor Berglund. The Aberdeen police had apprehended him at the ferry terminal and were holding him for questioning. When Jimmy walked into the Lerwick interview room, Professor Paul Berglund looked less like an esteemed academic and more like a cornered rat. He was sweating in his Gore-Tex jacket. "You're a hard man to track down, Professor," Jimmy said, pulling out a chair and sitting opposite him. "I was just on my way to see you on Bressay this morning when I found out you'd bolted." "I didn't bolt," Berglund said defensively, his accent slightly clipped. "I had a funding meeting. I had to be there in Aberdeen. The university is threatening to pull the plug on the dig. Sorry, am I to believe that your funding is more important than a murder investigation on your doorstep? Am I a suspect?" Berglund countered, his eyes darting to the mirror. "Well, according to your student, Hattie James, this dig was quite important to you. It was your last chance to make a major discovery. And Mima could have closed it down at any moment. Hattie tends to blow things out of proportion," Berglund scoffed, waving a hand. "She's an emotional girl, highly strung. You know her well, then?" Jimmy asked smoothly. Berglund stiffened. No, I've just gleaned the fact that she's quite neurotic from working with her. I didn't get that impression, Jimmy said, leaning in. It seems we've taken an instant dislike to each other, Professor. That's unfortunate. Not for me, Berglund snapped. I mean, you plan to leave Shetland, but I can hold you here as a material witness for as long as I need to. You have nothing on me, Berglund sneered. We know that Mima Wilson was killed around 11 p.m., Jimmy said, laying out the facts like cards on a table. And we know that you had a lot riding on that dig. You stood to get major funding if you got results. So, is it possible that Mima was going to shut you down after she discovered that human skull? Or that she was going to sell the land to Duncan Hunter? I don't know anything about selling land, Berglund said, looking genuinely panicked. Is that a strong enough motive to kill her? Jimmy pressed. Berglund slammed his hands on the table. I didn't kill the old woman. I was in my B&B all night. Jimmy let him sweat for a moment. Then he pulled out the photograph of Mima and Perlunsted. Did you find anything else in that trench besides a skull? Maybe a set of dog tags. A personal item belonging to a Norwegian sailor? Berglund stared at the photo, his face draining of color. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Before Jimmy could press the advantage, the interview room door opened. It was Tosh. She looked terrified. Sir, she whispered urgently, you need to come out here. Now. Chapter 12, The Missing Girl. Jimmy bolted out of the interview room. What is it? Tosh handed him his mobile phone. It's a voicemail. It just came through on the station's main line. Forwarded for you. Jimmy pressed play and held it to his ear. Jimmy Perez. Hi, it's Hattie James. The girl's voice was breathless, panicked. The sound of howling wind roared in the background. I need to speak to you. I found something. Not in the trench. In the professor's tent. Oh God, he's coming back. A scuffling sound. A sharp intake of breath. Hattie, The voice on the tape wasn't Jimmy's. It was a man's voice. Cold. Angry. Shit. Hattie. Hi. It's Hattie. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you. Hattie's voice babbled, trying to cover her tracks, pretending to record a voicemail greeting. Then the line went dead. Jimmy stared at the phone, traced the signal. Where did this come from? The masked ombresse, Tosh said grimly. She's up at the dig. Get a tactical team. Jimmy barked, sprinting for the door. Call the Coast Guard section manager. Let Willie know we might need a search and rescue grid over the Bresse Moors. I want every available officer on that ferry. Yes, sir, Tosh yelled, already running for the radios. Jimmy threw his car into gear, his heart hammering against his ribs. The sky over Shetland was darkening prematurely, pregnant with a massive storm rolling in from the Atlantic. He dialed Hattie's number over and over as he sped toward the terminal. It went straight to voicemail every time. Hattie, it's Jimmy Perez. He left a message, his voice tight with controlled panic. We've just been up at the bog end. Give us the phone. Quick. He was talking to himself, cursing the island's terrible reception. When he reached the Bresse Croft, the wind was at gale force. The blue police tape was ripped and whipping wildly in the air. Check the house, Jimmy yelled to Craig, who had arrived right behind him. I'll head up to the dig and see if she's there. Jimmy grabbed a heavy flashlight from his trunk and ran up the muddy hill toward the archaeological site. The tarpaulins were tearing loose, snapping like gunshots in the wind. Hattie, he roared, his voice instantly swallowed by the storm. Hattie. He reached the main encampment. The professor's tent was unzipped, the flap blowing wildly. Jimmy drew his baton, stepping carefully inside. The tent had been ransacked. Papers were everywhere. A laptop lay smashed on the floor. Hattie, he called out softly. He swept the flashlight beam across the mud. He saw a set of footprints leading away from the tent, deeper into the peat bogs. Small boots. Someone running. Jimmy followed them. The rain was lashing down now, a freezing, blinding sheet of water that soaked him to the bone in seconds. He slipped in the mud, catching himself on a jagged rock, tearing his gloves. He pushed on, fighting the terrain. The bogs were treacherous, full of hidden sinkholes and deep trenches dug for peat. Had he? Then the flashlight beam caught something. A flash of white against the dark earth. Jimmy ran toward it, his lungs burning. It was a hand. Hattie James lay at the bottom of a shallow peat cutting. She was staring up at the stormy sky, her eyes wide, the rain washing over her pale face. The brace on her teeth caught the light of Jimmy's flashlight. There was a massive, dark stain spreading across the front of Mima Wilson's oversized wool coat. Jimmy scrambled down into the ditch, falling to his knees in the mud. He pressed his fingers against her neck. Cold, nothing. Oh, good God, Jimmy whispered, the horror of it paralyzing him for a fraction of a second. He grabbed his radio, pressing the transmit button with a shaking, blood-stained thumb. Inspector, can you hear? Hello, can you hear me? The radio crackled with static, the signal blocked by the hills and the storm. Hello, Inspector, are you there? He was completely alone with the dead girl. He looked down at her, protruding from her chest, right in the center of the dark stain, was a heavy, ornate hunting knife. Jimmy's mind flashed back to the interview room. Professor Berglund, the photograph, the missing documents. He had to get a signal. He had to call this in. He scrambled out of the ditch, running toward the highest ridge. His phone finally caught a bar of signal. It began to ring. A missed call. He dialed it back. Hello. A woman's voice answered. She sounded exhausted. Hello. When James, Jimmy asked, panting heavily. Sorry, who's this? This is Detective Perez from the Shetland Constabulary. There was a long, terrifying pause on the other end. There's no cause for concern, is there? Mrs. James, I just wondered if you'd heard from. Jimmy choked on the lie. He couldn't do it over the phone. Not while he was covered in her daughter's blood. She's not in any trouble, is she? When asked, her voice rising in panic. No, no. Is she? Is she likely to hide herself away if she's upset about something? Why? Don't worry, Mrs. James. If she does get in contact with you, can you please let me know? Jimmy managed to say, his voice breaking. There you are. He hung up, the cruelty of the job crushing him. I just wanted to say that I thought your daughter was lovely, and I wish there were more people like her. You should be very proud of her. The words he should have said echoed mockingly in his head. Jimmy stood on the ridge, the storm raging around him. He had two unsolved murders on his hands. An old woman shot in her home, and a young student stabbed in the mud, and a whole island of suspects who were all protecting their own blood. He stared out at the black, churning sea, the lights of Lerwick twinkling mockingly in the distance. He felt a cold resolve harden in his chest. He was going to tear this island apart until he found the monster hiding in the dark. And he was going to start with Professor Paul Berglund. He keyed his radio again, finally catching a burst of static-filled reception. Control, this is Perez. I need a forensics team at the Bresse dig. Now, we have a 187. I repeat, a homicide. He looked back down into the ditch, the rain washing away the evidence, washing away the girl. Where the hell have you been? Jimmy muttered to the wind, thinking of the killer. You knew I didn't want you going out on your own, but yet you did it anyway. He knew what the professor would say. She used my knife to kill herself. I didn't say she killed herself, Professor. Jimmy whispered into the storm. But she found something. The list of the Norwegian agents lost during the Shetland bus operation. Per Lundstedt. Mima had known. Hattie had found out. You know that if it does turn out that I'm a threat to reveal your affair, it gives you a motive for murder. Jimmy spoke to the phantom of the killer. She's going to regret that. And so is the bastard she's been shagging. Ronald had nothing to do with it. Jimmy knew that now. This was something much older, much darker, and it was only just beginning. End of part 1. The Artisan of Ink. a novel based on the case of Albert Talton. Prologue, The Crypt of Bogus Dreams. The specimen vault in Washington, D.C. was a room that smelled of cold metal and old, dishonest paper. It was a high-security purgatory for the ghosts of failed ambitions. The air was kept at a precise temperature, as if to preserve the lies within for eternity. Kelly Harris, a forensic specialist with eyes that could detect a microscopic deviation in a serif, walked past rows of filing cabinets. To most, this was a collection of trash. To the Secret Service, it was a library of human psychology. Each bill was a story of a man who thought he was smarter than the system. A tangible record of the moment greed overtook common sense. She stopped at a drawer labeled with a specific code. Inside lay the H2 H38 series. Look at the texture, she whispered to her colleague. Most digital forgers give up at the tactile level. They think the eye is easily fooled. And it is. But the hand has a memory of its own. But this guy, he understood that money isn't just about what you see. It's about what you feel. He wasn't just printing. He was engineering a lie that could breathe. On the wall of the vault, a quote from 1865 reminded them of their origin, a time when half of the nation's currency was fake and the economy was on the verge of a cardiac arrest. The war hadn't ended. It had just moved from massive printing presses to quiet, suburban inkjet nozzles. Chapter 1, The Epiphany of Grease. Lawndale, California 2004. The air in the body shop was thick with the scent of Bondo, burnt rubber, and the metallic tang of spray paint. Albert Talton wiped a streak of grease from his forehead, his mind anywhere but on the dented fender of the Toyota Camry in front of him. He was 41. And the rhythmic sound of a pneumatic sander was the soundtrack to a life he felt was beneath him. Albert felt the weight of every year he'd spent behind bars. He had the hands of a craftsman and the brain of an electrical engineer, a degree he'd walked away from years ago because the classroom felt like a cage. He had always been a hustler, a term that carried a certain prestige in the streets of Inglewood, where he grew up. In Inglewood, you were either the shark or the bait. But the dirt he'd done in the past bank fraud, forged checks had only led him to a small bunk and a high wall. He was trying to go straight, or at least, he was trying to look like he was. The parole board liked steady jobs, even if those jobs paid in peanuts compared to the rush of a successful scam. His boss, a man named Miller with a permanent scowl and a pack of Marlboros in his pocket, walked over to the workbench. He held $100 bill between his thumb and forefinger as if it were a piece of rotting fish. "Look at this, Al," Miller spat. "Some kid just tried to pay for a detailing job with this garbage. I didn't catch it until he was halfway down the block. Feel that? It feels like a goddamn greeting card." Albert took the bill. He felt it first. Too smooth. Too stiff. He held it up to the flickering fluorescent light. The watermark was a Joka-blurred smudge that looked more like a Rorschach test than Benjamin Franklin. The ink was bleeding at the edges. A victim of a cheap home printer and even cheaper paper. "It's terrible," Albert said, a strange sensation stirring in his chest. It wasn't disgust. It was a spark of competitive arrogance. "I'm out $100 because I wasn't paying attention," Miller grumbled, snatched the bill back, and tossed it into the trash. Albert didn't hear him. He was staring at the bin. He thought back to his childhood, to the time he'd taken apart a Bose speaker just to understand how they'd squeezed so much bass out of such a tiny enclosure. He had a gift for reverse engineering. He didn't see a bill. He saw a set of technical hurdles waiting to be cleared. "I could do this better," he thought. The thought wasn't a suggestion. It was an insult to his own intelligence. "I could do this so well that Miller wouldn't just take it. He'd thank me for it. He'd frame it." That night, Albert didn't go to the bar with the other mechanics. He went to a Staples. He bought an all-in-one printer, a scanner, and a stack of paper. The total was less than $200. It was the cheapest investment in an empire the Secret Service would eventually call the most prolific digital operation in history. Chapter 2: The Laboratory of Illusions. The kitchen of Albert's small apartment became a sanctuary of light and chemicals. For months, the only sound was the rhythmic shick, shick, shick of the inkjet carriage moving back and forth. The smell of cooking food was replaced by the ozone of electronics and the sharp scent of industrial solvents. Albert sat hunched over a laptop, his eyes bloodshot and fixed on a high-resolution scan of a 2003 series $100 bill. He had realized early on that the Secret Service's greatest weapons were the security features embedded inside the paper. The watermark, the security thread, these weren't printed on top. They were part of the very DNA of the cloth. "You can't print a ghost," he muttered to himself, staring at a genuine $100 bill pinned to his wall like a biological specimen. Then the engineer in him woke up. If he couldn't put the features in the paper, he would build the paper around the features. He began experimenting with recycled newsprint thin, porous, and remarkably similar in feel to the cotton linen blend of U.S. currency once traded. Newsprint had the right flexibility, it just lacked the soul of money. He developed a sandwich method. It was elegant in its simplicity. He would print the front of the bill on one sheet and the back on another. Before gluing them together, he would print a faint, mirrored image of the watermark on the inside of the front sheet using a specialized light gray ink. He'd lay a thin, silver-colored thread meticulously stripped from a different material between the layers. When he glued them together and pressed them under a stack of heavy engineering textbooks for 48 hours, the result was staggering. When held to the light, the watermark appeared to be inside the bill, shimmering with a ghostly presence. The thread was visible, but shrouded, just like the real thing. But there was one final hurdle: the pen. Every retail clerk in America used the iodine-based detection pen. If the paper was wood-based, the iodine turned black. If it was cloth-based, it stayed gold. Albert spent weeks testing household chemicals. Bleach made the paper to brittle. Starch made it smell like a laundry room. Vinegar ruined the ink. Then, one afternoon, he watched his girlfriend, Allison Sewell, getting ready for a night out. She sprayed a cloud of hairspray over her hair to lock it in place. Albert's eyes widened. A coating, a non-porous barrier. He waited until she left, then took a test bill into the bathroom. He sprayed a light mist of white rain hairspray over the paper. He let it dry, then swiped the detection pen across it. The line turned black. It had failed. He didn't give up. He went back to the store. He bought every brand. He tried a different brand, Aquanet. It was heavier, more industrial. He applied it in 3 micro layers, letting each one dry completely. He swiped the pen. The line stayed a bright, beautiful, honest orange. Albert Talton stood in his kitchen, surrounded by the smell of hairspray and ink, holding a bill that had cost him roughly 3 cents to manufacture. To the world, it was worth $100. It was the ultimate arbitrage. He didn't feel like a criminal. He felt like an alchemist who had finally found the formula to turn lead into gold. Chapter 3, The Chess Master and the Brokers. Albert knew that the downfall of every great counterfeiter was ego, the desire to spend the money themselves. He had seen it in prison. Men who got caught because they tried to buy a Rolex